rock and roll. Thank you, buddy.
Go ahead, Bobby.
I ain't afraid no more. I ain't afraid to say. And if the words are clear, I know that I can say. Busting out the rules that they control. Busting out a love from my soul. Busting out a dream that won't be so. I said no. Busting faith, busting faith, busting faith, busting faith.
Thank you, Bobby, as
Oh, you're
always. I
You're
so appreciate you showing up, and I never asked him to do it. And so that means a great deal to me that
Thank you, Carol.
he participates from his heart.
I do.
So tonight we're going to talk about demystifying enlightenment. I had a very interesting experience over the 4th, and I had listened to the Wachowskis explain the Metaphor of the Matrix movies. And 2 weeks prior to that, Mike and I had just gone through and watched the trilogy over again. It had been a few years since we had watched it. And they basically never talked about the movie because they didn't want to create a dogma about it. They just kind of let people have their own journey, whatever that was with it. But before we get into that, Dixie sent me a very interesting email this last week, and I thought she should go ahead and share that. And it's kind of funny. And so I'm turning it over to Dixie, and if you have some comments, Dixie, to say after, feel free.
All right. This is called
You got your glasses hooked on your mic there.
oh well. This is called Medicare Part G, nursing home plan. Say you are an older senior citizen and can no longer take care of yourself, and the government says there is no nursing home care available for you. So what do? You opt for Medicare Part G. The plan gives anyone 75 or older a gun, Part G, and one bullet. You are allowed to shoot one worthless politician. This means you will be sent to prison for the rest of your life, where you will receive 3 meals a day, a roof over your head, central heating and air conditioning, cable TV, a library, and all the health care you need. Need new teeth? No problem. Need glasses? No, that's great. Need a hearing aid? New hip, knees, kidney, lungs, sex change, or heart? They are all covered. As an added bonus, your kids can come and visit you at least as often as they do now. And who will be paying for all of this? The same government that just told you they can't afford for you to go into a nursing home. And you will get rid of a useless politicians while you are at it. And now, because you are a prisoner, you don't have to pay any more income taxes. Is that a great country or what? Now that you have solved your senior financial plan, enjoy the rest of your week. Great.
So Dixie, if you'll find the email I sent you so that I can continue talking about this. This is a live call-in show, folks. 360-693-7544. 360-693-7544. And am I seeing that right on the graphic? It only says fear and not busting fear. If it says only fear, it's supposed to say busting fear. So anyway, yep, it only says fear that I can see. Okay, that's all right. Technical difficulties, they happen. Okay, so this weekend, if we can get a close-up on this, I just want people to see. Is there someone that can get a close-up on this? I just want you to see my website, Divine Dominoes, and I added a new category on Independence Day because I was listening to the Wachowskis explain the Matrix, and then I also listened to Ken Wilber, and he's a person that I found out about 20 years ago or so, and he has written some very interesting books. One of the books I read was called Boomeritis, and it would be him like 20 years previously taking the courses that he's teaching now. It was a very interesting dynamic. And so I read that book, and then I found some of his presentations on the internet, and so it went right along with what the Wachowskis were saying about enlightenment and the metaphor that they were presenting in the Matrix, showing in a symbolic measure the steps to or the steps along the way on the path of enlightenment. Enlightenment is not something that ever stops. It just keeps continuing. I'll give you a simple example. About several decades ago, I was reading an article in National Geographic, and it was about space and time and something, but I never understood what a light year was. Do you know what a light year is, Dixie? It's the time that it takes to travel in 1 year.
Yes.
So when they say a star or a galaxy is 5,000 light years away, what does that mean?
Well, the amount of time it takes for the sun to
The light from that
the light from
to
the
get
sun
here.
to get here. to
Yes.
Earth.
Well, I read that article, and it says that's what finally dawned on me, that it takes 5,000 years for that light to reach us. And then I went beyond that, and I realized it's not there anymore. That's where it was 5,000 years ago. So everything we look at out there isn't there. It's an illusion. Because it's not where it really is. It's somewhere else.
To some extent, yes.
No, not to some extent. That's the way it is.
Well, I mean, the planets, the stars are still there. It's just a matter of.
But what I mean, the location of where it's at in the
Okay,
universe,
yes, okay.
that's not where it is. That's where
Right.
it was 5,000 years ago. So we're actually seeing into the past.
Yes, time
of the-
travel.
yes, time travel. Oh. If you heard Andrew Bishago on Underground, that was quite controversial, I hear, but there were 400 views as of last Wednesday that we heard, and so that's a good thing. You either love him or you hate him, and you understand him or you don't. We've been listening to him for, I don't know, how many years?
Well, 2004, so that's
11 years. Yeah. And I got to say, his story's always been consistent.
Yeah. Okay,
Okay, so when I realized that I was seeing the light from the stars, and they're not even stars, they're galaxies, that was an illusion because it wasn't true. In other words, I wasn't seeing it in the current present moment.
Mm-hmm.
That was a step beyond understanding the how many years it takes. Beyond that is that it's not there anymore. It's somewhere else. It's moved somewhere else. So I want to read something here from Ken Wilber to get started on this topic of demystifying enlightenment. I wonder if I can, will it? Yes, it will. Okay. I have to get my magnifying glass out here because this is kind of little. So I sent Dixie an email about what I wanted to talk about. And Ken Wilber makes a distinction between ethics and morality, and they're not the same thing. And that will challenge you as you move through your awareness or your awakening or your enlightenment. Okay, let's
Will
see.
you explain the difference?
Yes, I will. Let's see, I've got to find it. Oh, this is the Wachowskis. I got to get down to Ken Wilber. Okay. All right, here we go. Let's see. Ethics practice is a container for the types of high realizations that can occur, i.e., enlightenment, waking from the collective horror matrix created by psychopaths. That's what I said. Enlightenment, waking from the collective horror created by the psychopaths. That's what I'm saying in what he says here. Ethics practice is a container for the types of high realizations that can occur. Unethical behavior does not get you enlightened. It gets you the unhappy dream. You must be very careful about realizing our egoic impulses. The enlightened mind is always present with you at all times. The reason we are not there all of the time is because we are caught up in objects or in events in our life that you experience or view and believe that we can do something to affect the object. Allow your ethics to prevail in all situations, and that will calm down the frenetic grasping of the false thinking that you can affect those objects. Ethics are crucial for stable realizations. Ethics is the ethos of the culture. For example, if you are in the KKK, you can be acting ethically according to the ethos of the culture and still not act morally. Ethics and morality are not the same thing. When your ethics and morality are in alignment, and that becomes your very momentary practice, that paves the way for moments of higher realizations, which is the enlightenment process. So as I read this, it is getting your ethics and your morality in alignment. Mm-hmm. And when you're presented with events, that's when you can have these higher realizations of what's really going on. Like I did with the realization of the light years. I saw through the illusion that star or that galaxy isn't there.
Right.
Okay?
But the only thing you can see is 5,000.
The past.
Yes.
That's right. I can only see the past. Right. Okay, thank you, Dixie, for that help. So now I want to talk about what I want to share some of the things that Lana Wachowski shared about the matrix. And this might be a little bit disjointed, but it will come together at the end. Okay, we have we all exist in a moral universe dilemma. Would you agree?
Yes.
Yes. And because they're making movies and they are into the arts, Lana said something quite interesting. It says, aesthetics are the DNA of art. Now, I took that to mean the graphics or the symbols are the DNA of art. And aesthetic shifts are attacked by the dominant aesthetic. That's the same thing as a paradigm shift. You have a current paradigm or understanding of something that will not solve the next higher level problem. So you have to think about it and come up with a new way to look at that or understand it to solve the problem.
Okay.
Is that making sense to you?
Yes.
Okay. Let's see. Interesting comment. They said in their process, The Matrix started with the movie Blade Runner, and at the same time, E.T. was the movie. But the predominant aesthetic of the time was the E.T. movie, and Blade Runner challenged the E.T. aesthetic. Did you ever see Blade Runner?
No.
Oh, okay. Folks, you got to watch Blade Runner. And then you got to go watch E.T.
But is it just E.T.?
What?
You're talking about a movie?
Yes, the movie E.T., the extraterrestrial.
Yeah,
Steven
but I thought
Spielberg?
there was. That's okay. I can't remember the title of it. I just didn't think it was just E.T., but that's okay.
Yeah, it's just, I think it's just E.T. or the extraterrestrial. Yeah, E.T. Yeah, that's the name of it. So here's what they realized: is when you forge a new aesthetic, you are remembered. That's what the Matrix did. It forged a whole new aesthetic,
Okay.
even in making movies.
Okay, when you say aesthetic, a new symbol?
Yes.
Okay, that
Well,
helps
it's
me.
multiple symbols in the Matrix. Many symbols.
Okay, but it's a new symbol
Yes.
or new series of symbols.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So they were challenging the current aesthetic.
Okay.
Now you realize the first Matrix came out in 1999.
okay.
And as I go through here, you'll understand how aware and enlightened the Wachowskis were to be able to make this movie. They were quite young. I mean, here it is, 16 years later?
Mhm.
And they're now, this was an interview from about 2 years ago, 2013, that I watched. And so they already had to have this information in place to be able to make the movie. Did you want to say something, Mike? Okay, thanks. Reminder, this is a live call-in show, 360-693-7544. 360-693-7544. Now here's one of the things they brought up that I thought that was quite interesting. Critics do not identify symbols or their meaning in movies. And movies are nothing but symbols. And that's always frustrated me about critics. They treat it like it's something real. It's just a symbol of something. And critics don't go there in their critique of it.
The critics are they focused on the acting, the type of movie? I mean, what?
Well, I don't know. I mean, after the critics didn't like Crocodile Dundee, I stopped listening to them. That was a great movie. And his subsequent movies were great. The critics didn't like it. I thought it was great. Okay, here's a challenging aesthetic. Here's something to challenge. They say to watch Moonrise Kingdom. I have not seen that movie. But I did see Snow White and the Huntsman. They say they are the very same story. The only difference is the aesthetics of the movie. In other words, the symbolic graphics are different, but it's the same story, but told in a different location, a different setting, a different type of people, a different costume. So I think it's a different movie, but actually it's the same story. These folks are sharp. Here's what they said. Both movies defied logic in the genre of their aesthetic. And I think Moonrise Kingdom, there was a castle built on the beach. Now, who would build a castle on a beach? Nobody in their right mind. But it was done because it was beautiful. It was a beautiful depiction of the castle on the beach. But it's not logical. So what happens is when they do that, you get caught up in the aesthetics and you don't see that the movies are the same.
Okay.
Yeah. See, they love movies. They've watched movies all their life, and that helped them to learn, that taught them to explore, that taught them to question.
Okay, say the two movies again.
Moonrise Kingdom and Snow White and the Huntsman. So, and here's what they said. The Matrix does things no one has ever done before. They made the aesthetic the symbol. The intent is to make movies that delimit reality or ask you to challenge your reality and see through the illusion. Okay. Let's see. It's a philosophical art of the trilogy. What is reality? How do I know what I know? You come to a moment of revelation or enlightenment. Then you assault the moment of enlightenment. You deconstruct it, which leads you to deconstruct many ideas. I put in quote dogmas. We can have dogmas of science, religion, politics, government, philosophy, sociology. I mean, dogmas can reign everywhere. And when you try to fit everything into a dogma, that really creates division and separation. So if you can get the metaphor, all dogmas need to be challenged because they limit your ability to see through the illusion. Now, where do we go after we deconstruct everything we believed we thought, or we thought we believed? In my own experience, when I left that church, everything that I believed was gone in a moment. So it was a journey to figure out how to be someone without that belief system, without that dogma. I couldn't have that dogma anymore. I couldn't fit things into it. I was like in limbo, or in the space of no space, or it was a weird space for a while, but yeah, I got through it.
But you reconstructed who you were, who
I
you
did.
are.
Yes, but it took time. It took
It's
a
whole
few years.
process, yes.
Yes. So let's see, that was 1985. So 30 years I've been working on this journey to get myself back together and enlightened. Okay. Movies are matrices which no one seemed to get, which turn your thinking process off. So they were wanting to turn your thinking process on by their movie.
Okay. Or the trilogy of
The
movies.
trilogy, yes. And I've been watching their new series on Netflix, Sense8. And it's about 8 different people that are connected, and they trade places with each other, and they help each other, and they can talk to each other. And they're all in different parts of the world. It's absolutely a brilliant, brilliant series.
And say it again.
It's Sense8, SENSE 8, and then the number 8, and it's a Netflix original. So what their intent was, they wanted to connect the audience to Neo's path. So we took his journey. Let's see. Okay, going on here. So as you become aware of something that is different than how you thought it is, you have to develop a new skill. So when the illusion is broken, it's assaulted, you're kind of broken too, because it's like, oh man, I got to start over something.
Well, that's it. You feel like you're not who you used to be.
Yes.
And therefore, who are you? I mean, a big
Yes.
question. Who are you, really?
Yeah, thank you, Mike. I saw that. And so the question, they say, how do we get through life? And it's by our choices, whether you take the red pill or the blue pill. And I couldn't remember which pill Neo took to get him into the awakened state, and it was the red pill, folks. It was the red pill. Just remember that. And then in the second movie, there are 2 doors. So Neo still has to make a choice between 2 things. This time it's 2 doors. Now, the host that was interviewing them made a very interesting comment. He said, the Wachowskis, they treat their audience like they are intelligent, and that the audience can handle the metaphors. That's what I love about them. They stretch you to think beyond your current paradigm, your current dogma. They really try to get you to wake up from the illusion that we're being manipulated in by the psychopaths. And that's an artificial intelligence creating this matrix affair. Okay, at the end, on the third trilogy, and if you notice at the beginning, they had that Warner Brothers symbol in the gold light, and the gold light was very predominant in the third trilogy. And they were saying that the gold light is as important as the gold light that's shown through the movie, because it sets it up for what's coming. And when I saw that, I thought, what's that gold light? Because before it was that green light. So here's this gold light. And the third movie is about deconstructing choice. And deconstructing what choices? Say a choice in the matrix, there's the matrix of Catholicism, there's the matrix of metaphysics, there's a matrix of Christianity, there's a matrix of philosophy. It's the same thing as a dogma. It's deconstructing those things which help you define our existence, and they may have nothing to do with what's really going on here.
But when you deconstruct something, then you have to rebuild it.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And that's what he did?
That's a good question. I don't know. But I remember in the second movie he realized, Morpheus wanted him to be the one. And in the second movie he had to tell them he's not the one. And so he realized the Oracle was just another matrix to set him up. And he confronted the Oracle about him not being the one. And then he walks in and all these people think he's the one, and they need to spend time with him. I mean, how do you handle it? Knowing you're not the one, but the other people believe you are. How do you handle that? And stay moral and ethical.
Yes.
Because if you tell all of them, I'm not the one, that deconstructs their matrix.
Yes.
How that was a tough choice.
Yes.
And they never really addressed that, but that's something I've thought about. Okay, thank you. Mike says he's putting Divine Dominoes up on the screen just so you can see what the website looks like. I do have the Wachowskis interview. I do have some of Ken Wilber's information up, and you can see I started a new category called Enlightenment, and I did that on July 4th when I started reading this information. I'm going, of course, enlightenment is simple. It's not a mystery. I've never really heard anybody explain it, but because I guess I'm in alignment with how the Wachowskis moved through the process, this made sense to me. And so then I found Ken Wilber, and he says a little bit differently. So I'm hoping if you go there and you watch those videos, it will help you start a journey to realize enlightenment isn't all that difficult. All right, let's move on here. Here's some more very important stuff that Lena said. Lena did most of the talking rather than her brother. Can you encourage the audience to interrogate their own framework of meaning? Then, through that interrogation, can you extend that meaning to art or the creative process in the same way that Neo has to go through his journey being told what to do and what to believe? The illusion is revealed to him, which is a deconstruction of what he thought was real, and then a new challenge is put to him to be the one. The new matrix revelation is projected onto the old matrix. Then in the second movie, that projection turns out to be a big lie. The one. Whoa, what do I know? What do I do now? And then that is the journey in the third movie. There is no formula to success. Whatever you're confronted with, as you can deconstruct your realization and have an understanding, and as you see through, you must keep moving forward. Do what you do that works. Make sure it causes no harm. If you have to keep writing, the Wachowskis have boxes and boxes of stuff. They just kept writing because it was their process. They kept attending classes. They kept studying. As I've done, I've studied lots of things. I've paid money for things, and they never got me anywhere. But finally, you kind of figure out your alignment, and then things seem to work out.
So basically, we're watching 3 movies that is about the writer's spiritual journey.
Yes, they have an understanding of how things can work, and they're trying to get us to understand that process also,
Okay.
because it will set us free. Let's see. This is very interesting. They were saying that they hated the movie 2001 because they did not understand it. What is that black thing? It is a symbol for their father told them it is a symbol for the consciousness of God. Then that made more sense. That made more sense to them. They had a different sense about 2001 and saw it through different eyes. just their father saying that's the consciousness of God shifted them to be able to grasp the greater meaning of 2001. I haven't watched that in a few years, so I'm going to have to go back and watch that. Now here's an interesting metaphor. Let's see. Apocalypse Now was like 2001 for them and their perspective or understanding. Also, Apocalypse Now and Conan the Barbarian are the same movie. Here we have that same movie feature again. Both are pro-power movies. You must kill your dad and become the new father. What that means is you must kill the old belief system, the old matrix, to create your own father's journey, or you become your own mentor because you start to figure things out as you start to see through the illusion. Let's see. Let's see. They chose not to talk about the Matrix because they didn't want to create a dogma about it. And they are not interested in anyone's commentary about that movie. I say the same thing. I put stuff up on my website, Divine Dominoes. I don't care what anybody thinks. The information is there for you to explore and figure it out what it means for you. Their intent was to inspire people to think and talk without interference or any kind of matrix dogma. They wanted to get people talking about this, question things. Let's see. What? Pet detective? What? Yes. What about it? What about Ace? But what's the metaphor of Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, Mike? Do you know?
We're getting extra information here.
He's just hassling. He's just giving us a bad time. Okay, so here they say the Matrix is an exploration of consciousness. The critics have missed the multiple meanings of the trilogy. And the Mr. Smith virus. So we have to go beyond the surface to the deeper meaning. So folks, I know that might have been a little kind of stretchy, but if you take the time to watch their interview, it's an hour and a half, and you watch some of the Ken Wilber things that I have on DivineDominoes.com, and explore other kinds of things that might help you see through the matrix, and especially this matrix of fear that's created by these psychopaths that don't want us to reach our state of enlightenment. But enlightenment is not just one thing. It's a process. Each new awareness or difference that comes to your life or new understanding sets up another journey for you. And all those journeys happen, you make a choice. That new information will help you to make a different choice. I've made some choices, and one of my patterns I realized is I leave things when they no longer serve me. And when I left the church, it was quite painful because all those people were still there. I've left other things, and I've been able to be in contact with those people so that other people are different. So
I would like to say that next week I'll be talking about a book called The Forgotten Promise. Many of us have made promises that we don't remember. And I think that this book is very interesting. I think you'll enjoy listening to it. Okay.
Okay, so folks, demystify enlightenment and go forth and seek it out. Thank you very much. We appreciate thank you for listening, and we thank the crew for helping us put on the show every week that we are here. Thank you, Bobby Lee.
You're welcome. I ain't afraid no more, I ain't afraid to say. And if the words are clear, I know that I can say, busting out the rules that they control, busting out a love from my soul, busting out a dream that won't be so. I said no. Busting, baby.